I had a rather rubbish inquiry earlier today, and I don't mean that the inquiry was bad quality, I mean it was an inquiry about rubbish, in that somebody's been given a fixed penalty notice of £400 to be reduced if paid within 14 days for leaving a cardboard box beside their own bin on their own driveway. So naturally, the question was whether or not you can be given a fixed penalty for fly tipping, which is what this penalty was for, on your own property. So welcome back to the channel, but if you are new to me, I'm a barrister who helps you understand law. So in this particular situation, if you are leaving rubbish out beside your bin, you will probably think that it's perfectly okay because you're leaving your bins out to be collected, and if there's an overspill and you want to leave a bit of extra rubbish that doesn't fit in the bin, you might be tempted to just leave it beside the bin, thinking that the bin men or women will pick the rubbish up and put it in the back of the truck along with your bin. Not quite the case for many people that have hit the news in recent years because they've complained to the newspapers about the local authority fining them £400 for leaving a cardboard box beside their bin. Interestingly enough, these reports to the news companies about the rubbish have been met with mixed results, much like the mixed rubbish that's in the black bins in the first place. Some of the local authorities have cancelled these fines because the complaint to the newspapers was that these are utterly ridiculous, because clearly the people leaving these cardboard boxes besides the bins on their own property are not fly tipping in the traditional sense that most people see it. You see, fly tipping is a fairly serious, hazardous and environmental problem, but it isn't really intended, the law that is, for cardboard boxes left beside bins to be collected by the refuse. Indeed, in serious cases of fly tipping, you can be fined up to £50,000 or even sentenced for up to 12 months in prison, even in a magistrate's court. And if convicted in a Crown Court of the same offence, you can be looking at an unlimited fine and up to 5 years in prison. But as I say, this is usually intended for those that are leaving hazardous, dangerous, or otherwise just undesirable waste material alongside roads, causing dangers and hazards to other people, and generally an unsightly and environmentally unfriendly mess for someone else to clear up. If you are given a fixed penalty for leaving your own cardboard beside your own bin on your own property and you refuse to pay it, then you could be looking at a further prosecution for non-payment of the fixed penalty notice. So you certainly shouldn't ignore it just on the grounds that it might seem ridiculous to you. Now, if this were done by every single household, every single time the bins were left out, and there was a significant amount of cardboard and other waste left near the bins, well, the councils would firstly need to look into why there is so much rubbish and whether the bins are large enough for a start, but this could cause a significant problem all the way up and down the street if that rubbish is then to be blown around into the streets, causing danger and hazards and environmentally unfriendly situation for everybody else. But on the other hand, if this was a one-off by one household and one cardboard box, then it certainly seems unfair and disproportionate to be applying a £400 fixed penalty to that property owner when they are simply trying to do the right thing by leaving this cardboard box out for collection. Now, as a householder, you are responsible for the waste removal of your property, and you're supposed to do it legally, lawfully, and you're supposed to dispose of it within the bins that's provided and in the way and the manner that they suggest. And some local authorities have shaken this up a great deal in recent months by saying, firstly, that you must put your rubbish into a plastic bag when it's in the recycling bin. Others have said that it must not be in a plastic bag when it's in the recycling bin. Others have said that you must not put cardboard in there, and all of these sort of things. So you can see that the rules change from place to place. So if you are moving property, don't assume that the rules are the same when you move to a new area. And even if you haven't moved, don't assume that the rules just stay the same, because one day you might turn up outside and realize there's a sticker on your bin to say that you can't dispose of X, Y, or Z item within your bin. Styrofoam is one classic example that most local authorities don't accept in any of their recycling bins, and some, I believe, don't even accept it in their normal black bins, and instead they're supposed to be taken down to the local tip. But even when I was down at the local tip, there seems to be what is a growing list of items and different things that they simply don't accept at that local tip. Some of which will attract a fee to dispose of, some of which they just don't accept at all, like plasterboards, for example, are no longer accepted. So if you are an enthusiastic DIYer and you've been redressing your house for sale perhaps, and you've got some plasterboards that you need to dispose of, then your local tip may not accept those, and you're going to have to find a specialist place that will accept them. If you leave them out beside your bins, you may well find that you get a fixed penalty notice for leaving something that they don't collect because you're not disposing of it in a way that the law requires. And I think you can probably deduce by now that if you are leaving waste outside of your own property on the street, this might also be considered fly tipping because, again, you're supposed to be leaving your bins at the end of your driveway, not in the middle of the road, and certainly anything you put beside it could also be considered fly tipping. However, the immediate suggestion that comes to mind to me, not that this is legal advice, it never is on this channel, it's usually guidance for reasons I've explained in other videos. However, many of these stories have made it to the newspapers, somewhat embarrassing situation for the local authorities. Not that I'm suggesting that it's the best way to go about things to embarrass your local authority by going to the newspapers. However, some of these situations have been resolved with the council withdrawing the penalty from that householder because, let's face it, it does seem a little bit ridiculous. I can understand if the whole street was full of rubbish and the council needs to stamp out this problem because rubbish is blowing all over the streets and all over the roads, causing a hazard to everybody else. But as I said earlier, if this is a single one-off isolated incident with a single cardboard box next to the bins at the end of the driveway, I can't really see the problem. Perhaps you can offset the cost of the fixed penalty notice by going to one of the newspapers who will probably gladly buy the story from you from anything between £400 and £800 or whatever it is they pay these days. Anyway, I hope that wasn't too much of a trashy story to come to you with, and I hope that you don't throw away the guidance that I give you on this channel. In fact, I would be really grateful if you like this video and subscribe, join me for more videos, and as always, I thank you for watching.